A chilling voice that haunted our nightmares from the bottom of a well.
Mm-hmm.
A sweet, lonely Hawaiian girl who taught us that ohana means family. And just like that, Hollywood lost one of its most versatile young stars, only for the internet to completely dismiss it as a hoax.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Welcome to Starscope Report. Join us as we uncover Hollywood drama, music industry shakeups, and viral influencer scandals. From red carpet surprises to social media controversies, we dive deep into the stories behind the fame.
We really do.
And today's deep dive, it investigates a headline that genuinely shocked the world. The truth behind Daveigh Chase's tragic death has finally been revealed.
Right.
We have a massive stack of sources for you today. We're looking at official Los Angeles County Medical Examiner reports, Wikipedia, Rotten Tomatoes scores, verified obituaries, and, well, some really viral YouTube commentary.
It's a pretty dark commentary, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. Our mission today is to unpack the heartbreaking reality behind a beloved child star's decade-long disappearance.
And, the story of Daveigh Chase it's just one of extreme, almost unbelievable contrasts. Like, she was Hollywood's ultimate paradox.
She really was.
You had this young girl winning hearts globally as a Disney darling while simultaneously terrifying audiences as an iconic horror movie villain. And this was all before she even reached her teenage years.
Right, and her entry into that world wasn't the typical narrative we usually hear about.
No, not at all.
Like, it wasn't some fiercely ambitious stage parent forcing their kid into endless auditions. It was entirely serendipitous. But it was driven by a really deeply traumatic family event back in 1998.
Yeah, she was just 8 years old.
Exactly. Daveigh was 8 when her family took a road trip to Los Angeles. And during that trip, her mother, Kathy, was involved in a really severe car accident.
And the injuries from that crash were significant enough that doctors literally forbade Kathy from driving for at least 6 months.
Oh, wow. Half a year.
Right. So the family was just grounded in Southern California while she went through recovery. Up in Oregon, Daveigh had been doing, local talent shows, singing country music, that kind of thing.
Just normal kid stuff.
Yeah, but being stuck in Los Angeles presented this entirely different reality. So to pass the time and to kind of channel her fascination with acting, she started attending open casting calls.
And it happened fast, right?
Oh, almost immediately, she booked a Campbell's Soup commercial.
That commercial essentially opened the floodgates. By the early 2000s, she was experiencing this run of critical acclaim that most veteran actors work decades to achieve.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, she voiced Chihiro in the Disney-produced English dub of Spirited Away. That is a Hayao Miyazaki masterpiece, sitting at a 96% on Rotten Tomatoes. It literally won an Academy Award.
Which is huge.
And then she played Samantha Darko in Donnie Darko, which holds an 88%.
Those are staggering projects. But, her cultural permanence was truly cemented with Lilo and Stitch.
Oh, definitely.
Voicing Lilo wasn't just a kid reading lines into a microphone. It was an incredibly complex performance about a grieving, eccentric child who's just trying to hold her fractured family together.
It makes you cry every time.
It does. And that film has an 86% on Rotten Tomatoes, made over $270 million globally. Her performance was so authentic that she won an Annie Award for Outstanding Achievement in Voice Acting.
She anchored a massive global blockbuster. But her early career was kind of like a pendulum, right? Swinging violently between these emotional extremes.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Because at the exact same time she was voicing this beautiful story of pure family love, she was physically contorting into a demonic entity. She took on the role of Samara Morgan in The Ring.
Which is terrifying.
You have to wonder what that kind of emotional whiplash does to a developing 10-year-old brain. I mean, The Ring required intense physical stunt work, hours in a prosthetic makeup chair, and she was performing water stunts in a literal well.
It's a really profound point, and I think the tragic paradox of child stardom is that the industry heavily rewards kids for being highly malleable vessels, for adult projection.
Right. Whatever the director needs.
Exactly. In one studio, adults need you to embody pure innocence and vulnerability. In another studio across town, adults need you to embody pure, unadulterated terror.
Yeah.
But the moment these actors age out of that malleability, the industry frequently just removes the scaffolding. They are left trying to build an actual, developed adult identity after spending all their formative years being whatever an adult director needed them to be.
Though, to be fair, Daveigh actually seemed to navigate that transition better than most, at least professionally.
She did, yeah.
She didn't stay frozen in time as Lilo or Samara. At the 2003 MTV Movie Awards, she won Best Villain for The Ring. And you look at who she beat out for that Golden Popcorn Trophy.
It's an insane list.
Daniel Day-Lewis in Gangs of New York, Colin Farrell, Mike Myers, Willem Dafoe. An 11-year-old girl beat Daniel Day-Lewis.
I mean, that win just proved her sheer capability, which she carried right into complex adult roles. Like, starting in 2006, she joined HBO's Big Love, playing Rhonda Vollmer.
Oh, she was so good in that.
Incredible. And this wasn't some simple teen role. Rhonda was the teenage child bride of a ruthless polygamist prophet.
Super dark stuff.
Extremely dark. Over 5 seasons, Daveigh evolved that character into a chilling, sociopathic antagonist who manipulated everyone around her. It was a literal masterclass in nuanced, dark television acting. It proved she had this incredible range.
But the momentum of that successful transition eventually hit a wall. While her career looked unstoppable on the surface, that scaffolding you mentioned earlier was slowly falling away off camera.
Yeah, it was.
Wait till you hear what came next. And hey, if you love these Hollywood twists, make sure you subscribe. We've got even crazier stories ahead.
So the breakdown of that professional scaffolding really became undeniable in November of 2015.
Right, the meeting. She had a scheduled meeting with the legendary director Rob Reiner for a new film project. And, you know, in Hollywood, you don't ghost Rob Reiner.
Never.
It's a massive opportunity that could define the next decade of your career. But she never showed up. The room was just empty.
Wow.
That missed meeting effectively marked the beginning of her decade-long disappearance from the public eye.
She did have a few final acting credits trickle out in 2016. There was an indie psychological horror film called Jack Goes Home and some voice work in a video game called Let It Die. But after those final allegations were met, she vanished. And she didn't just step away to live a quiet life on a farm or something. She vanished into the unhoused population on the streets of Los Angeles.
It's just so jarring. The situation deteriorated so rapidly that her former manager, John Ryan, actually began producing a documentary titled Finding Lilo.
Because nobody could find her.
Exactly. Her friends, her family, her professional team, nobody could track her down. And the sheer scale of the unhoused crisis in Los Angeles makes finding one specific person nearly impossible, even if you have resources.
And the paper trail she did leave behind painted a really grim picture of her new reality. Her disappearance was punctuated by a series of deeply tragic run-ins with the law.
Yeah, it gets really tough here.
In February 2017, she was detained by the LAPD for questioning after leaving an unresponsive man at a local hospital.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and he was later pronounced dead from a suspected drug overdose.
And then, just a few months later, in November 2017, she was arrested for a felony charge after being found riding in a stolen car.
Right.
I mean, think about that transition from walking red carpets with publicists managing your every single step to being found in a stolen vehicle.
It's hard to even process.
By August 2018, she was arrested for misdemeanor drug possession and spent time in a Hollywood jail. She eventually fell into total homelessness, living on Skid Row, and later in an RV with her boyfriend, Roy Hernandez.
The narrative around why this downward spiral happened is a tragic study in conflicting realities. Because if you look at this through the lens of the Hollywood machine chewing up another child star, it seems like a straightforward, if devastating, story.
But wait, we can't just blame the Hollywood machine here, can we?
Well, it's complicated.
Because I'm looking at the statements from her own family, and they paint a very different picture. Her mother, Kathy, claimed the addiction started around 2016. She stated Daveigh was in a motorcycle accident, suffered a severe back injury, and was prescribed painkillers.
Which happens a lot.
Right, and Kathy says that triggered the addiction.
Oh.
She said Daveigh started seeking drugs and partying with the wrong crowd. So isn't this really a medical tragedy rather than a Hollywood one?
That is exactly the friction at the heart of her story. Her mother blames a medical incident in her 20s, but then you have the statements from her father, John Schwalier.
What did he say?
It's noted in the medical examiner's report. He completely contradicted his ex-wife's timeline. He claimed her severe drug addiction didn't start in her 20s after a motorcycle accident. He claimed it started when she was just 13 years old.
Wait, really? 13?
Yeah, right around the time she was winning that MTV Movie Award.
So while she's up there beating Daniel Day-Lewis, she's secretly battling the early stages of addiction.
According to her father, yes.
That completely reframes her entire career trajectory.
It really does. And it highlights how deeply entrenched the issue was by the time she ended up on Skid Row. And there were people who desperately tried to intervene.
Like her friends, right?
Yeah, her friend Sean Rosenthal, who got sober himself in 2023, He actually organized a group of sober friends to try and track her down. They wanted to pull her out of that environment and get her into rehabilitation, but they just failed to reach her in time.
This brings up something that I find incredibly confusing, honestly. How does someone with millions of dollars end up living in an RV on Skid Row?
That's a great question.
We're not talking about a struggling indie artist here. She was the voice of a Disney franchise. She had a SAG-AFTRA trust fund filled with untouched residuals. Where were the safety nets?
So, to understand this, you really have to look at how child actor finances actually work. In California, under the Coogan law, a percentage of a child actor's gross earnings must go into a blocked trust account.
Oh.
It's basically designed to protect the money from the parents or guardians. As residuals from massive hits like Lilo and Stitch keep pouring in over the decades, that account just grows.
So the money is there. It's physically sitting in an account.
Yes, but that money is governed by incredibly rigid disbursement rules. Those trusts are designed to protect the principal, but ironically, they have no built-in mechanism to release emergency funds to save an adult actor from themselves.
Oh, I see.
When an individual is completely estranged from their management and family and is actively battling the psychological and physical grip of severe polysubstance addiction on the streets, they aren't managing portfolios.
Right. They're just trying to survive the day.
Exactly. The money is locked away, functionally useless. It's a world away from the daily survival reality of Skid Row.
And that systemic estrangement really reached its breaking point in June 2026. By the time she was admitted to the Los Angeles General Medical Center, the gap between her Hollywood past and her current reality was just unfathomable.
It really was.
And later in the deep dive, we'll talk about the shocking twist nobody saw coming and the bitter feud it ignited just hours after her death.
Because as she was facing her final agonizing days in that hospital, the narrative unfolding online was entirely disconnected from the human being fighting for her life.
Let's look at what was actually happening in that hospital room.
Mm.
She was admitted suffering from severe malnutrition following extreme weight loss. Her boyfriend, Roy Hernandez, launched a GoFundMe campaign to help with her care.
Right.
He stated she was battling meningitis, severe blood infections, and had been subjected to relentless systemic bullying and housing instability.
Okay.
He was trying to sound the alarm, telling people the doctor said she didn't have much time left.
Yet the internet's reaction was immediate skepticism and conspiracy.
Unbelievable.
A viral YouTube channel called TTQ and New WS posted a video loudly declaring that the rumors of her being dead at 35 were a complete hoax.
The transcript of that YouTube video is just incredibly dark in hindsight. The narrator literally says, "There has been no credible confirmation. There is currently no verified evidence that the actress has passed away." They actually used her critical medical situation to lecture their audience. They said, "This is another reminder of how quickly celebrity death hoaxes can spread in the age of social media. Sensational headlines often generate millions of views before the facts are checked."
I mean, they were farming engagement off keywords, generating views by debunking a hoax, completely blind to the fact that the tragedy they were dismissing was absolutely real.
Think about how often you or I scroll past a headline that says, celebrity X dead at 30, and we immediately roll our eyes, assuming it's clickbait.
We do it all the time.
We've been conditioned by social media to view celebrity trauma as content. It's gamified, to the point where an actual 35-year-old woman dying was treated as a puzzle to be debunked rather than a tragedy to mourn. Because it wasn't a hoax.
No, it doesn't.
Daveigh Chase died on June 16, 2026. She passed away just hours after that GoFundMe page went live.
And the autopsy from the LA County coroner eventually revealed the full, devastating clinical picture.
What did it say?
The primary cause of death was AIDS. She also suffered complications from bacterial meningitis and septic shock, which is what ultimately caused her organs to shut down. And the report listed chronic polysubstance use as a significant contributing factor.
Can you break down how those specific conditions interact? Because seeing AIDS, meningitis, and septic shock listed alongside polysubstance abuse paints a very specific, terrifying picture of physical collapse.
Yeah, from a medical perspective, it's basically a cascading failure of the body's defenses. So AIDS systematically destroys the immune system, right? When you compound that with chronic polysubstance abuse while living on the streets, which degrades your physical resilience and exposes you to severe elements, the body loses the ability to fight off even minor pathogens.
It just can't protect itself anymore.
Exactly. Bacterial meningitis is an infection of the membranes surrounding the brain and spinal cord. Because her immune system was severely compromised, the bacteria overwhelmed her bloodstream, triggering a massive inflammatory response.
And that inflammation is what leads to the shock.
Yes, that systemic inflammation is septic shock. The blood pressure plummets, oxygen can't reach the organs, and they just rapidly shut down.
It's such an agonizing way to die.
Yeah.
But instead of the public taking a moment of silence to process that heavy reality, her death instantly sparked a massive, ugly public dispute.
Oh, it was immediate. Almost right after she passed, her former management and family stepped in to publicly denounce the GoFundMe campaign that Roy Hernandez had started.
Right, because Hernandez claimed the money was going to help fund her cremation and final expenses.
Exactly. But her former manager, John Ryan, and her father told fans, absolutely do not donate. And they pointed right back to that financial paradox we discussed earlier.
The trust fund.
Yes, they stated she still had that SAG-AFTRA trust fund filled with millions of dollars in untouched residuals.
Wow.
John Ryan released a statement saying the family was independently handling all the funeral arrangements and that her own trust fund would easily cover those costs. It just turned into this incredibly messy public spectacle while fans were really just trying to process the loss of someone who defined their childhoods.
Amidst all the noise, the hoarding of clicks by true crime channels and the arguments over money, there was genuine heartbreak from the people who actually understood her talent.
Oh, absolutely.
Chris Sanders and Dean DeBlois, the directors of Lilo and Stitch, shared beautiful tributes online. They posted artwork featuring Stitch, Scrump, and Pudge the Fish, honoring the soul and the vulnerability she brought to that iconic character.
It was a really touching moment in the middle of a lot of chaos.
Stay tuned and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's coming next, because analyzing these stories really changes how you consume the daily headlines. You realize how quickly the humanity of the subject is just erased.
Because information moves faster than facts. And in that relentless rush for engagement, the dignity of the person suffering gets entirely lost. People treated her death like a rumor to be busted, completely forgetting there was a young woman battling AIDS, addiction, and the trauma of homelessness at the center of it all.
So why does this matter to you? We consume movies, we binge TV shows, and we make these actors permanent fixtures in our personal memories. When we think of Daveigh Chase, we think of popcorn and sleepovers watching The Ring or watching Disney movies with our families.
We freeze them in time.
We really do. But her story is a stark, unavoidable reminder that the humans behind our favorite characters are often fighting invisible, agonizing battles. And no amount of past fame, no amount of critical acclaim or Annie Awards can shield them from the hardest realities of life.
It really leaves us with something deeply systemic to mull over regarding the entertainment industry itself.
What do you mean?
Well, we mentioned those millions of dollars locked in an untouched SAG-AFTRA trust fund. What happens to that money now? But more importantly, could the industry restructure these trusts?
There's a good point.
Right now, they sit locked away to protect the principal. But if a former star is clearly in a severe downward spiral experiencing chronic homelessness and addiction, shouldn't there be a legal mechanism to unlock those funds for emergency medical care or specialized rehabilitation interventions?
You would think so.
It seems like a profound failure of the system to have millions of dollars sitting safely in a bank, legally untouchable, while the person who earned that money is literally fighting for their life on the streets.
That is a fundamental flaw the industry really needs to answer for. You've been listening to Starscope Report, where we uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining. Remember the little Hawaiian girl who said Ohana means family? And maybe ask yourself how we can take better care of the people who give us those memories before they fade into the dark.